after maximum of 1 week of practicing this on that stage now, I'm ready to play it on stage without any problem. This is the video for people who did the job in the first video and now they are on this level and they are searching what to do more. This is not for people who didn't do their job, which I suggested in the previous video, and now they expect to have this effect, because this is impossible. Though I am a professional guitarist, I do this all my life. It's hard. it's just really hard to sit 3 hours a day, every day for 5 months, and then after the first performance not be happy. Take it, try to improve. But if it was easy, everyone would play guitar professionally, fugue by Bach and much more difficult other pieces. Not perfectly clean, maybe it was not hearable on camera, but I hear and I cannot live with this, that it was like average. It's an insult to the guitar world that I was able to say I'm happy about this. Not perfect, it was good, but not perfect. I just made an incorrect change. We come back to zero, right? This is very difficult for me, because the goal is to work hard, not to be perfect. Of course we are artists, we are human, we feel emotions, we are connected to the instruments, we have expectation. But this teaches you discipline and how to be made from yourself. Very helpful for me, maybe will help you too. After watching this, if you want to apply those methods to your practicing, I think if you demand from yourself enough, it is absolutely impossible that you will fail. It is my fault because I know I haven't prepared myself for this enough. If you find my content useful, you are gonna love this. I just wrote a book, The Ultimate Classical Guitar, which I'm about to share with you in June. You'll be able to get it on your email for absolutely free. This is my thank you for supporting me here on YouTube and my way of spreading all my knowledge and passion about guitar. This book is all I've learned so far about the technique. 15 problems to solve, over 40 precise exercises, plenty of inspiring stories, and all you have to do is just go to tomemusic.art and take it after it's published. I'll make a separate announcement about the precise date. Stay tuned and enjoy your practice. Previously, we were uncovering the secrets how to teach our fingers to play properly in a very slow tempo, so we are in control of what we are doing. And now, since we are conscious and we gained control over our fingers, there is time for step 2. And it is very important to give yourself this time between the first and second stage of practicing. So from day 1, when we know nothing about this piece, today, when we know something about this piece, to have this 3 days to 1 week of practicing, which is, I think, crucial in the beginning, because then later you have so much easier and effortless takeoff to the land where you can play it perfectly on stage every time. So now, when we can play it perfectly in slow tempo, our job is to make it to the final performance. How do we do that? Well, the method is very simple and surprisingly similar to the one in the first video. We will similarly cut the piece for small fragments, practice those fragments, but we will be even more demanding while practicing in slow tempo. I will show you a few tricks which works for me on this stage, so you can test it for yourself and look for new solutions. Guys, enough talking, time flies, let's start to play, not to waste any more second. So, I will take only the first entrance of the first line, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4 bars, not even 4 bars, 3.5 bars, and I'm gonna try to be perfect, absolutely perfect in tempo, which is closer to my final tempo, or maybe even my final tempo, which will be moderato, moderate tempo. This is not a very fast piece. I will show you later also why. So we start from the bar 1. Nice, but not clean enough. Again. now some of you may notice that I use a little bit different fingering here for F sharp, for E sharp and F sharp than I was using in the first video. And to be honest, I'm super surprised myself, because it's my fingers who choose this option as easier in this tempo. And sometimes, at least for me, to me, it happens that when I'm playing closer to the final tempo, my finger just feels to do different thing than I was used to. And of course, it's more work for me because I have to relearn this. And as I mentioned in the previous video, relearning is more difficult than learning from the beginning. So this is not my final thing. I'm experimenting with you on camera, so live. It's everything, you know, can change. I don't say that this is correct, this is incorrect. I'm testing it myself. So my goal is to achieve perfection here in the tempo which is close or final, and I think this is definitely the final tempo. I will not play this piece faster. Now I will explain you why. Because on the second page we were also having the other fragment, right, with the 16th notes, which is very fast. So if this is the tempo we chose, then the 16 notes will be taka 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 taka, which is very fast, right? And I cannot play this yet in the tempo, despite the fact that I was practicing those 3 days. So we will get there. But first, let's start from the beginning. Again, I care about perfection. I can use the method 5 times in a row clean. So this is probably what I'm gonna do now. So 5 times in a row, I want to play clear the entrance in the final tempo, just to make sure that my fingers know what they are doing. Not clean. One. Not clean. One. Two. Three. Four. Five. Okay, and as you see, it comes much easier than the first time when we were struggling in slow tempo, but now my fingers are prepared for what's coming, and I perfectly know. And actually, as I accidentally proved last time, I learned this piece accidentally by heart. I mean, this fragment of the piece which we are working on here on the video. So now I was really satisfied about everything and how the music went also along with the technical aspects. So I can move to another fragment and I will do the same. So 5 times. One. Two. And I try to increase the musicality of this, what I'm playing every time, a little, to a certain point, until I'm happy with it. Of course, it's very subjective, so this is the field when you can experiment. Third time we go. Yes, 3 done. 4 times done. And 5 times done. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna connect those fragments and I'm gonna, let's say, play it 3 times in a row perfectly. I got too emotional, same as last time. It's a mistake of a beginner, which even professionals do that very often. And it's really annoying and very humbling, but yes, we all need to take care about being calm, because then when we let ourselves explode with emotions or stay on stage when the emotions and heartbeat and everything is so much more like it's so much increased, we are not standing a chance to play the piece as we played it at home. So again. Great, again. And the last time. And I can move on to the next fragment. Accidentally, I hit the resonance of the G string and I hate it. It happened also once in the previous recording, and I try to eliminate that as possible. That's unfortunately the risk when you sometimes don't take care about muting the strings behind the fingers. So let's take care of that and let's focus on this particular problem, right? A little better, but I think it's actually the right hand which does that. Yes, here. So I will have to be very careful about taking care. When I play a piano, this sound accidentally sometimes sounds because my finger is touching the string. I didn't acknowledge that before because it's slow tempo is much easier to control, but now in faster tempo I have to take care about this much more. Actually, I found another solution, because sometimes we can use the right hand also to mute the strings. I was mentioning it but didn't give example in the last video, and that's actually a perfect example. Why? Because it's really tricky to make it fast between those two strings here in the tempo, the final tempo. So I think the left hand is just more useful. So I will change the fingering in the left hand just to put the barre here, and I get rid of the problem, right? Let's try to practice it. First time maybe a little slower because it's new. My fingers know where to go, but this is the one thing which we need to improve on here and to add it as a nuance, as a new thing. So let's try to do this a little slower. But for the sound, it works perfectly. So let's repeat that again. Okay, we have two perfect times. I forgot about barre. We come back to 0. Right, and then the rest it's very similar. So now what I will do from the beginning to this moment, try to do this perfectly, let's say again 3 times. Not perfect. sometimes it's just putting your attention a little bit more into the fragment, which is more difficult, or taking the breath, as we were speaking previously in this place, so which just changes the game and you suddenly can play it. But it's of course after some amount of practicing, because out of nowhere it will never occur that, oh, I can play this thing, unless you've played octaves enough in the exercises. So then, yes. Again. One. Two. And three. And we've got it, right? So I'm pretty positive that my fingers now can play it much better than I was able to play it in the beginning of the video, right? And now I will do the same with the other fragment, which has just different ending, right? So line 5, just let's make it line 5 bar 2 from forte, just to make sure that the ending is this different ending of the phrase is correct. Right? And I will repeat it the same 3 times, let's say. So I have 1. That was not perfect. I would like it to be very elegant and very noble, and to meet this expectation I really need to pay attention. So again, we go back to 0. Kind of nice, yes, I like. 1. Two. Would be 3, but I played instead of this. So again, come back to 0. I have to demand from myself really a lot. 1. Again, not clean, no? Again. 1. 2. Etc. Right, and so on. So what I will do now, if I know that partially those fragments are mastered separately and I feel confident with them, of course, between this and stage performance is still a lot of work, but and I will show you a very nice tricks how to get there. But this is a first step. So repeating and getting used to the faster tempo. It doesn't mean that we abandon practicing in slow tempo. It doesn't mean that at all, because imagine we played this piece half a year, right? Already. So obviously, if you learned in maximum 1 week how to play in the slow tempo, and then you practice another week, this is what we are uncovering in this video, it doesn't mean that then you play only fast, because after half a year of playing this piece or practicing this piece, working on that piece, you may have another problems. And it doesn't mean that you can solve those problems only in fast tempo because you are on this level, right? Sometimes even if you are on the master level and you played the piece on stage multiple times, something occurs, some error, some mistake, which you are unable to eliminate in this very moment when it occurs, and you see that this mistake is repeating, right? So then you probably need to step back, take a step back, to slow down the tempo, to dive deeply into the problem and look for a solution which is very precise and particular to this very moment, right? And it's very important to stay humble. Even if you know the piece perfectly, you can wake up at 3 a.m. and play it on stage and it will be good. Sometimes certain problems occurs at this level, which was not visible at all before, right? And it happened to me actually very big amount of times when I was able to play the piece, and after 2, 3, 4 years of playing certain piece, I started to have problems which I have never had before. Because, for example, I got used to this tempo, I increased it because my technique grew a little, right? And it appears that in this 3% increase of the tempo, the problem was much different than it was before, for example, right? Or the tension was starting to occur, like I was working on Fugue by Bach, for example. I was working for it, let's say 1 year, right? And after 1 year, I wanted to increase the tempo to get closer to the tempo of pianists instead of tempo of guitarists, which is much faster because it's easier on piano than on guitar. To achieve this tempo, I don't say this piece is easier on piano than on guitar, but then after I had to practice again slower, but with different attitude and having in mind a different way of solving my problem, because the problem was different, right? I didn't have this problem when I was playing it slowly at first or during first year of playing this piece at home, and then problem occurred after, right? So don't take it as a final stage of your practicing. This is next stage, second stage of your practicing, and only you will know how much do you need in the future to master this piece, because the only measurement of your outcome and how you play the piece and how well you play the piece is your expectation. Because if you are happy and people are not happy about how you play, don't care if you are happy. That's your job is done, right? But I would say that more often we have another situation that people are super happy and they say like, oh wow, it's a tremendous amount of work, you are so talented, or you play so well, and we are not happy about our performance because we know that we have higher expectations. So that's why working on the piece is, at least for me, never finished. It's never done. It's whenever I work on piece, that's why for me it's very difficult to drop the piece, because I keep working, and I still find so many things to work on, and I'm never entirely satisfied. Hardly ever, like very hardly ever. I think highest percentage of satisfaction I had with my ever performance would be 90%, maybe 92%, but never 100, because I can always find something to work on and to improve. And I think this is very important, to keep certain reserve in your mind, not to think that, oh, now I mastered this second stage, I'm good at guitar. Wait until you will perform it in front of people, and probably next stage will be performing it in front of people which do not like you. That's even bigger stress and pressure. So there is always certain problem to work on. Let's play from the beginning to the end of the fifth line, or rather to the beginning of the sixth line, right? So we have first full complete opening and presentation of beautiful first theme of this sonata. Not clean. Not perfectly clean. Maybe it was not hearable on camera, but I hear and I cannot live with this, that it was like average. nice. I try to look for the for different musical solutions, or maybe not different, but deeper musical solutions within what I already played, and I will try to go a little bit deeper and deeper each time. So I'm certain that this is the right amount of music which I want to extract from this fragment, right? So number 2. Not perfect. It was good, but not perfect. I just made a incorrect change. We come back to 0, right? Not perfect, neither. It's a very demanding method to play 3 times in a row perfectly, because you may play actually 20 times and not play 3 times in a row perfectly. But this teaches you discipline and how to demand from yourself. Very helpful for me. Maybe it will help you too. I didn't like this chord. Ah. Not perfectly clean. Not perfectly clean. I want to say one more thing. When I'm working for work, as I said before. So I cannot tell myself after, oh, I could have practiced more, I could have practiced better, because I do everything now not to say this anyway anyone in the future, right? So I'm working to work the hardest possible for me, and if outcome is I play perfectly or I feel confident and content about how I play the piece, it's great. But my goal is to work, not to play clean. I mean, of course, I want to play clean, but my purpose of my practicing is never to play clean, because as soon as I achieve playing clean, it means that what? I stop working because I achieved my goal. That's why I still keep working on the pieces. Focus, 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 focus. Again. Again. One. Quite nice, quite nice. I think I just had some buzz in one moment, but I don't think it was relevant to the technique because my finger wasn't there. But anyway, yeah, I will repeat it. I will repeat it because I said I'm demanding from myself, and I do, and I would have trouble leaving that I lied about that. So 0. And again, I like the music and I wanted to finish it, but in general, we are in good direction. Humbly, let's go to our goal of practicing as hard as possible. Mm-mm. One. 2. And 3. Right? Some of you maybe noticed that in the third line my hands switched to the older fingering, but managed to play clean, so I leave it like it was, right? Maybe someday I will have an option to choose, for example, while playing repetition, to choose the fingering in there. If it sounds good, that determines my confidence that it's good. So after playing it 3 times in a row clean, I'm pretty sure that I'm much more confident about this piece. I feel much more confident with this piece because, if I'm not mistaken, this was around 10 times when I played it all. And before that, look how many times we played each fragment, like 5 times each fragment. Then we were connecting that. It's simply no way that you don't improve with this method. And without all this talking and explanation, I don't think it's more than maybe half an hour of practice, right? So after this, imagine tomorrow it's going to be probably 20, the day after it's going to be probably 15, right? And when you make all the piece, it's like probably from 4 hours to play it through one time to eventually practicing it like that in few days. I would say maybe 1 hour and a half, right, for this piece. And then after a month of that work, I don't think it's possible to, first of all, forget it, and second of all, to not to improve. Like you're sentenced to achieve success because it's impossible to fail. If you do this, of course, regularly, not to let your hands forget what you've learned previous day or 2 days ago. I mentioned this place in the previous video, and I was practicing it with different methods, totally different than we applied from for the first fragment. And now let's see how they work. So I will do the same. Let's try to have those 4 bars, right? So line 3 bar 4, and then after whole line 4. That's the fragment which I'm talking about. Of course, it repeats, so we can play it twice simply, right? To check our stamina of left hand, if we are able to maintain the tension in here. So if we chose this tempo, that would be the tempo of those 16 notes, right? Etc. Right? So I see that some of the bars are more confident, some less. And how can I solve that? First of all, I would not practice this particular fragment in the final tempo straight away after 3 days or 1 week of practicing in a slower tempo. This fragment is one of those technical fragments when I would get the final tempo, right? So slowly accelerating the tempo when I'm feeling more and more confident, right? Is much bigger amount of notes which we need to take care of. So you were practicing a very slow tempo last time, and let's try to do a medium slow tempo, right? I try to make as smooth and small movement as possible, not to do this. With like some kind of circus acrobatation with my left hand. I try to be as accurate and close as possible. To limit the movement of the hand, to make sure that I'm taking care about the precision of the movement and not the amount of energy wasted in the process, right? Because we need to preserve this energy for precision, not to waste it and then expect that our hand will magically find out the way because we practiced, right? We have to focus on efficiency too. Second time. And the third time. Tempo, I must say, I feel very confident, so let's try to increase it a little. And two. And three. Mistake. Again, we come back. We can apply those methods from the previous video in this tempo, and that's the beauty of it, because whenever we have scales or these kind of virtuoso motifs, we can increase those dotted rhythms and also exchanging the groups, so fast, slow, fast, slow. And here, for example, I would let's try 4 fast, 4 slow, and let's see how it looks, right? So I will try to make it a little bit above the final tempo with this fast one, and half of the tempo with a slow group. Again, 2, 3. Nice, I'm happy. Again. Yes, and opposite. And again. Okay, I'm really happy about this, and of course I feel much better because I was practicing all the previous methods for a few days, and that's why I feel much more in control and much more relaxed while playing it than on the first video, because it's really huge step up for me in practicing this kind of things which are difficult for me. This is very difficult for me in the beginning. So now I feel much more like into it, and like I can play with it, and I can like make some music much easier because I was practicing for a few days this plays in the methods which I introduced you to in the first video, and that's why I can play it now like that, right? So now let's try to do 8 and 8, 8 16th notes and 8 16th notes. 1, 2, 3. No, I'm sorry. And opposite. This doesn't count because it was not perfectly him. So 1. And not clean again. 1. Yes. And of course, one can use the metronome to help yourself with help themselves with this kind of challenge, to keep the tempo really strict. I think it's good at some moments to use metronome. I use myself pretty a lot, but at some point I like also to have this flexibility for a little bit of gesture before the first note in the bar, and metronome at that point would disturb me. So just make sure you are searching for different variety of exercises and find your own way. That's one of them, right? And then after you can play bar slowly, bar fast, or opposite. Let's try to do that. Clean again. perfect. Again. No, sorry. One. And let's try all fast. Again, 3, 4. Almost there, I would say. This is a good moment to test yourself. So after this amount of practicing, for example, if you get 3 to 7 days of practicing and now you are applying this method, this you can test yourself. How is the tension in your hand? Don't test yourself before, because you will destroy the certainty of your fingers that you are following the good movement and relaxation and everything. But now is the moment when you can test yourself. I tested myself. I know that I'm not perfectly ready in there. I would say it's a 75% of the job done. So I will need to take a step back also and definitely not practice the final tempo. Maybe I took a little too fast tempo because the goal was also to make this faster groups a little faster than the final tempo and slower half of that tempo. So I would say for practicing group by group, it's a good tempo, because then you are building this rapidity. How to say that? You are building this rapid movement in your fingers and how to connect it with different variations, right? And connecting with slow with fast, fast with slow, bigger groups, etc. You are this is like a hiring insurance company for your hands. It's like you're making sure that you are safe no matter what happens, right? You're ready, prepared for every situation. So we slow down a little to the medium tempo now, right? And with no groups practicing, let's try how it goes. Actually super confident after this exercise before in this tempo, so I think it's just a matter of time when I practice with groups and maybe dotted rhythms also, and I would be very, very sharp in dotted rhythms. So again. The normal way. My fingers already feel a little better, like really better. I feel like ready for bigger challenge. So I'm sure after maximum of 1 week of practicing this on that stage now, I'm ready to play it on stage without any problem, because I'm preventing all the tensions. I'm introducing my hands to the final tempo already, which means I'm applying a little bit of that tension for a moment to get used to it. And then I switch the place, right, while grouping it and while having dotted rhythms as well, right? And then slowly increase the tempo, like for example, we played it 5 times now, right? 2 times dotted rhythm, 2 times reversed, and 1 time normal. So it's 5 times. If you play this 5 times, let's say 5 times in the slow tempo, and then you move extra 5 on the metronome, and you play 5 times extra 5, 5 times extra 5, 5 times extra 5. I think after like 7 days of that work, it's impossible that you are not playing it well. Of course, if you practiced the methods which I introduced in the first video and you were on the stage when you are confident on that, because we are talking now, this is the video for people who did the job in the first video and now they are on this level and they are searching what to do more. This is not for people who didn't do their job, which I suggested in the previous video, and now they expect to have this effect, because this is impossible. From day 0 here, from day 1, it's impossible. So this is another 7 days of your practicing as a daily routine. It can be just after your warm-up, investing in your future, playing this piece. That could be what you do for the next week. And after that, between this moment in 1 week of this kind of practicing, as I introduced to you now, and a stage performance, there is another short chapter what you would need to do. So I have a brilliant exercise from one of my biggest mentors and my biggest friends, where I was his student for some time in Warsaw, Mateusz Kowalski, and he told me that his method to prepare himself for recording and for stage performance before the competition or something important is to play the piece from the beginning and try to achieve perfect effect until the end of the piece, not just fragment, but try to achieve just once. And he told me that be careful, because you may spend 6 hours and still not play piece perfectly, even the piece which is like 3 minutes, right? And I hate to say it, but he was so right, because believe it or not, I never succeeded to do this method. And it's the biggest, not to do, I did this method, but I never succeeded to play without any mistake from the beginning to the end. This is very dangerous, because this must be after you are learned and after you practice. So after this first stage from the first video, second stage from now, week after, you will be probably ready to start working like that, to prepare yourself for the recording or for the competition or for something with this piece. Of course, it's like very condensated work, and it demands a lot. So if you, for example, don't have so much time to practice daily and you have less time, this probably would be, those stages would be probably a little longer, and you would start this particular method, this new one, a little after. And there's nothing bad with this, because me personally, sometimes even with this method, I restrict myself to stay longer in slower tempos and then longer to master the piece before I even start the Mateusz's method to apply it. Sometimes it takes 3 months for me, let's say, right? And then after, I have 1 day when I think that I'm prepared with this piece, depending on the piece's difficulty, of course. And then I tried to apply this method to play from the beginning to the end perfectly. And usually the more I repeat, so let's say I play perfectly 3-4 lines, then I do a small mistake. The smallest, the tiniest mistake, I don't care. Smallest tiny buzz is considered mistake in this method. You come back to the beginning. My experience is that the more I play, the sooner the mistake occurs. But sometimes I manage to do 3/4 of the piece or something. I never succeeded playing from the beginning to the end. Never, even if I spend hours, on the piece, on practicing. But this is a very valuable method, and this helps you get along with one more very important thing. We guitarists and musicians in general suffer from being irritated that our work doesn't give us the dream outcome when we want. And this method, playing from the beginning to the end, trying perfectly, and when the mistake occurs, coming back and coming back and coming back, and spending hours on this even without achieving the perfection, prevents us from being too perfectionists, because the goal is to work hard, not to be perfect, as I said before. And on this path, on this journey of playing and practicing the music, we need to get rid of irritation at our souls. Of course, we are all pissed. We are human. We feel emotions. We are connected to the instruments. We have expectations, right? This last method is particularly important before preparation for the concert, because on the concert something may occur that doesn't occur usually in practicing. Imagine someone coughs and it throws you off and you feel unfocused, or someone's phone is ringing, right? Or someone is entering your concert in the middle, or someone is starting to talk. This situation happen and you are pissed off, you feel bad, you get irritated, but you have to get rid of that irritation because you are in the middle of doing something. You are in the process of presenting your music, of playing, of the other people are having some maybe precious moment in their lives, right? And you cannot just stop and say, what are you doing? And let this thing get over you and win with you, right? Because this irritation will not result with anything good. So this method, this last part of this method, this practice is very good to lose a little bit your expectation, to let yourself be spontaneous a little. After all of these hours when I was talking, you must be prepared for everything. Yes, let yourself be spontaneous too. Because there are always situations which you cannot predict, and playing on the concert is usually one of them. And hardly ever, or recording, and hardly ever we are happy about that, entirely happy, because usually, and this is what I observe in every of my students' case, they are not happy about their performance. Usually, it's very rarely what they are. So yeah, let yourself a room for imperfection too, but let it be spontaneous, and let yourself be prepared as much as possible, so you cannot say, it is my fault because I know I haven't prepared myself for this enough. It can be the day then, right? Or you didn't sleep enough, yes, and you still play at a decent level which you expect from yourself to present. And below that level, you just don't go. You don't want to go, and you are prepared enough to present at least that. And then if you have better day, you present better quality. Meaning you don't have any obstacles like fever, phone ringing on stage, or I don't know, another stressors. Of course, for me, it would be very difficult now to show you this Mateusz Kowalski's method on this piece, because I haven't practiced with you on the camera all the piece, and to be honest, I didn't practice all the piece, just the chosen fragments, because if I intended to play all for you and to show you how I practice all, I think we would spend in total around 10-12 hours, and I doubt that anyone would watch 12 hours of me practicing and explaining. So that's why I chose the fragments of this piece, which are with contrasted techniques, to let you get some inspiration to practice your own music. And after watching this, if you want to apply those methods to your practicing, I think if you demand from yourself enough, it is absolutely impossible that you will fail in the matter of working hard, right? If the goal is working hard, if you don't fail there, I think the outcome will be beautiful. Just give yourself time. And also in the comments, some of you were saying like, oh, but I'm stuck in some tempo and it's very hard for me to move on, and I practice really a lot. Believe me, I understand it. I think like no one else, because I was not a brilliant guitarist. I don't consider myself a brilliant guitarist, first of all, but I was not a miracle child, right? Let's say, and all I achieved, everything I have achieved, is my hard work, and I have never had naturality to play things without practicing. I was never playing clean. I was playing tensed. I had ugly tone of my sound. I had so many problems. I couldn't play even tremolo, even arpeggio. This was really not even an ugly I had many technical problems and I was stuck for years. But this was because I was not paying attention to quality of my practicing and exercising. I was pissed because I was playing long hours, a lot of time, but the quality of my playing was not good enough. I think it's very subjective how much time one needs to perfection, to master, become a master, to achieve your own goal, which you want, your level, which is your dream outcome of your work. I think it's very subjective. For me, it depends on the piece, but believe me, like you can see the Bach's Fugue, which I published some time ago on my channel. It took me 5 months every day practicing this piece for around 3 hours to perform it first time on stage, and this first time was really far from what I wanted. And then after that, this first time was in February 2024, and then after I was happy with performance of this fugue in August. So after next half a year of playing, exactly half a year, right? Yes. So I started this piece in September. I performed it first in February, first time performance, and then in August I was first time happy about how I played it. I think, of course, this piece is extremely difficult, I think, for anyone, but it's normal. Even though I am a professional guitarist, I do this all my life. It's hard. It's just really hard to sit 3 hours a day every day for 5 months and then after the first performance not be happy. Take it, try to improve it. But if it was easy, everyone would play guitar professionally, fugue by Bach, and much more difficult other pieces, right? There are pieces which are easier, they click quicker, but I would say it's hardly ever. It's like even pieces which seem easy, sometimes they have one place which clicks after a few months, and it's never that obvious. I will tell you one more thing, one more anecdote about me and playing Concierto de Aranjuez. I started to play this piece, of course, from the second movement. I think I was 17 at that time, something like that, 17, maybe 18. And I thought, oh, it's so easy. I learned it like in 2 months. I played it on the concert. I was so happy. Yeah, it was good for me. Really, I was really content that this is good level for an 18-year-old guy, or however old I was. I considered it very good. And then a few years after, when I was looking at this recording, oh my God, I was like, what I was thinking. I remember the feeling and me being content about this performance. And now I say, like, I was happy about that. Like, how dared I? Like, it's an insult to the guitar world that I was able to say I'm happy about this, right? So it's all subjective. And of course, some can play this in 1 week. I bet there are much better people playing guitar than me and with much better technique. For example, all the Aranjuez, I think I needed, like, honestly, 7-8 years to play it the way I want this piece to be played. 7-8 years of practicing. Of course, not every day, but I gave a lot of concerts with this piece, and each concert was a moment in this path and was a feedback for me what was to be improved. And referring to what I said before, I was discovering new things on different moments on this path and coming back to practicing like a child, slowly, 5 times, like we did here, all the same methods. And it didn't matter if I'm year 1 or year 6 of practicing this piece, right? So I hope you find it inspiring, and I hope it gives you some hope that playing is a result of how you work. How you play is a result of how you work, right? So if you work hard enough, there is no chance that you will not play good. But 2 things. First, quality of your playing, practicing, preparing, quality of what you do, and then quantity of what you do. Because you may find the best method, play it like this, even with this video, the same piece, exactly like me, follow this, everything, and do this once, and in a week, do the second time, you will never learn anything. Because you need to be frequent in that, right? And this method applies for people who take care about the quality first and then repeat it enough times to be able to succeed. If you find this video valuable, please do subscribe to my channel so I can share my passion of teaching with even bigger audience. I wish you good work and fun with your guitar. See you next time.